This is the periodic average method for item valuation, and we're looking at it from the FileMaker Pro user's perspective. I have a little bit of cleanup to do on this file. You might need to do the same thing on your file, so this might be useful. First thing I want to do is take a look at the item valuation. I have a bunch of data in here, and I don't need any of it. I'm not going to keep a beginning inventory. All of that's going to come from the purchases. So all of this can be removed. I shouldn't have done that. Let's take a look at the transactions. I can clean this up as well. Just remove that. Let's take a look. At this point, let's take a look at the data set that we're working with. Here's our data set, purchases on the left, sales on the right. Down below we have a transaction account, really a T account, and it's in chronological order. In the moving average for the periodic method, we're less interested in this timeline. And really what we are mostly interested in are the aggregates on both purchases and credits, or probably better to say on both debits and credits. And on the debit side, what we want to do is take this aggregate, summation of the total cost, and we want to divide that by this aggregate, a summation of the total quantity. That's going to give us an average cost. Once we have that average cost number, then we could go to this aggregate, which is a summation of this quantity, and we can multiply this aggregate by that average cost. I'm going to move this off to the side, and let's take a look at our sales order layout, and I want to look at our purchase order layout. The orders are built on the same table. It's a universal table that handles all the orders, so it has the same data set in it. And because of that, I want to narrow this down just to the purchase orders here and just to the sales orders here. This would be done automatically when you have a navigation system in place. We don't have a navigation system in place for this module. I have my layout windows set up here. On the bottom I have the sales orders, then I have the purchase orders. Here I have the item valuation log. I want to have this visible, and I want us to see that as I enter data in the purchase order and sales orders, nothing's going to happen here. Nothing will happen in the item valuation log until we run a script, and the script would either be a server-side script or it would be run by your finance team on perhaps an admin layout. And over here is the transactions. We are going to get transactions as we go through the process. There's a script trigger on object save on the ordered field. So in order to get the transaction to populate, I'm going to enter into that field and I'm going to replace a digit with that same digit. That's going to create the transaction. We need the transaction because the script, when it runs, it's going to look at the transaction and it's going to grab the data. So let's first populate that. We're going to start here with this set. And you may notice that I have a few other SKUs. We're mostly working with the one SKU, 70904. That's the data set that we have in the spreadsheet. That's the data set that we're mimicking with Professor Aldridge's data set. In the periodic method, you're going to have other SKUs because you're going to grab all of those SKUs within a given period. I'm trying to simulate that by adding a few other SKUs. So that's what we have there. And now I lost my what am I doing? Okay, so I just added these three for purchase orders. And then the first thing we do on our data set then is add our sale of 600 and a purchase of 2200. And a couple of others with those SKUs, and we have a sale of 1600. Purchase of 1200. We have a sale of 1000, and then we have some activity on these other SKUs. And then the next thing we have is a sale of 400, and then a purchase of 1800. Sale of 1400. Some activity on the other SKUs. Let's see, I got a little bit lost here. My last purchase was 1800. Right, so now I have a purchase of 500. And this should be a sale of 200, yep. Okay, so that populates the transaction table. Transaction table is important because the script is going to go through here and perform our aggregates. Now, when I run the script, I'll run the script in just a minute here. When I run the script, we really don't need the debit lines. The debits are the inbound, the debits are the purchases. We don't need those lines. Really what we just need is the aggregate. We need the two aggregates. We need the cost total, and then we need to divide that by the quantity total. But I bring those in anyways. You don't have to, but I'm going to bring this in this demo file. Again, you would simulate this. This could be a server-side script that's set to run at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, however you would do that. Or you could have this on an admin layout, and then your finance team would be responsible for going in and clicking this button and generating whatever reports you would need. I'm going to simulate that by running this script. Okay, I can get rid of this. At this point, let me clear out these screens. I don't need these screens anymore. And this one. And we can see that we are sorted by SKU. And I want to drop down to this one, this SKU. And in fact, I'm going to do a find just to concentrate on this particular SKU. We have brought in our debit lines. What we really need are these two numbers. So we see that all of our debits, all of our purchases, we have 6,500 units, and that is a total of $21,210. If I take $21,210 and I divide that by 6,500, I get $3.26. That becomes the moving average for all of my sales, all of my credits. So I have a line here for the moving average adjustment. It does say adjustment here, but the field is too narrow. But I take that, so this line enables me to calculate these two numbers. Once I have that number, then I can plug it in to the credit line. And so here is, again, we don't need all the lines for the credit for the sales, so it's just aggregated in the script and it brings it in as 5,200. Once I know 5,200, then I can multiply that and I get 16,968.12. And that becomes my cost of goods sold. What's not on here is ending inventory and ending inventory value. There are a number of ways to do it. Well, the one way to do it is you would take this summary field and subtract this summary field from this summary field, and that'll give you 1,300 units. And subtract this summary field from this summary field, and that would give us $4,242. And you may want to put that in yet another log table, or move that into directly into your accounting system. There's a number of ways to do that. So so I acknowledge that there's still this one step that's not done here, but it seems like it's fairly simple to make sure that to grab those data points just by doing some simple subtraction that can be scripted.